My mentors at MIT. Um, when I went to MIT, let me step back a little. I grew up about 2 miles north of Columbia University, and when I went to high school, I used to take the train. I used to pass Columbia University all the time. Now, quite honestly, I really didn't know much about Columbia University. I had no idea that it was this prestigious place and with this tremendous history. I knew it was a good school, but I really had just no idea. And so when I was graduating from high school, I applied to Columbia, and I had no idea how much it would cost. And that was the real big shocker. And so I was able to get accepted. And then when it came to financial aid, I remember the day that I was in the dean's office with a financial aid counselor, and my father was present. And pretty much they broke news to us that we could not qualify for the financial aid. And my dad, certainly not the diplomat, burst out and he held back. He didn't curse. But boy, he wanted to kill that dean. And the dean knew it. The dean knew that my father wanted to kill him. And so we left the room, left the office, and I could see how hurt my dad was. My dad never expressed emotions except when my mom died and after that meeting. We left that meeting and I could see he was painfully hurt. And even though I was young, I was thinking about it and wondering, my goodness, what's he feeling? Because, he always used to tell me, he said, hey, you just study, and don't worry, we'll find a way for you to go to college. We'll find the money somehow. And boy, he was just devastated. So, what did I do? From that moment on, I decided, okay, I'm going to study like hell. I went to another school. I went to Polytechnic Institute of New York, and I ended up getting an IBM scholarship, so the money did come. And but I was determined that money would not be a problem ever again. And I was also determined to do the best that I possibly could so that I could go to graduate school. And I did very well. I got a B, but other than that, all A's otherwise. And I was very upset about that B, still a little upset. But then I went to MIT. And the mentors I had there, the reason I felt I had to tell this story is because when I went to MIT, my feelings about it was, I have to succeed. There is no other option. I have to succeed. And regardless of what they do, regardless of how I feel, regardless of how lonely I might feel, and let me tell you, as soon as I went there, it was a cultural shock for me. And it was, I had a car. It cost, it was a Datsun B210, $700, which my dad contributed part and I contributed part. I was so happy to have that car to go to graduate school. And then I saw some of my friends up there, and they had brand new cars and much more. I had several friends that lived in a hotel, and an expensive hotel, and I saw a lot of wealth, if you will. And that just spun me around because I'd never been exposed. I had been exposed to a lot of poverty that I was familiar with. Well, anyway, so my expectations when I went there were really I didn't have the high expectations. I had tremendous respect for the advisor that I knew who I wanted my advisor to be because I had done my homework, a guy named Michael Athens, who's very well known in the field of control systems. and I had prepared to work with him. And I knew of him. I saw his papers and stuff like that, but I didn't know much really about the person. And he was a tough guy. Anyone who reaches that level is regarded as one of the top people in their field doesn't become that way by just being an easy person. So he was very tough. And the relationship was such, not him feeding knowledge to me, but the other way around. The responsibility was that I had to feed knowledge to him. I had to tell him what did I discover was new. And there was no honeymoon period. It was pretty much here are the papers and go read them. And it worked out. I respected him so much. I mean, in a sense, he was my dad, but with a lot of degrees. Same attitude. And by no means, folks, am I saying that that is the appropriate attitude to have with students. No, I don't think so. I think that that works with a few, but for the most part, we have to. Let me just change things a little bit. Would you be offended if I said we do a terrible job of selling what we do? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We do such a terrible job in selling what we do to our youth. Would anyone debate that? You know, a few years ago I received a Boeing fellowship, and we went up to Seattle, and there were 10 fellowships given around the country, and we sat with the CEO and vice presidents, and the fellows had to give a talk, and I said this, and maybe 7 of the fellows were upset that I said that. They said and they argued, look at what we've done in society. Look at all that we have made. How could you say we've done a poor job? But I said it then, and I'm saying it now. We have done a terrible job. If I had to grade us on a curve, I would give us an E, and that would be being generous. And what I'm getting at is this is what particularly bothers me. It's that it is so exciting what it is we do. And what I have found over the years is that we've turned off lots of good students, and they go to other fields. And that bothers me because I feel as though we haven't sold our disciplines in the best way that we can. Now, why is that important? Is it because I want people to be like me? No. It has nothing to do with that. Now it gets back to what the nation needs. We need scientists, technologists, engineers, and mathematicians. It is a matter of national security. Our economy depends on these individuals in a big way. And if you look at the statistics, and there's lots of statistics in your package, the speakers, the next speakers will also present some of those statistics. I don't like going over the statistics. They get me all depressed. The numbers are terrible. Any way you look at the numbers, they are just terrible. We do a bad job in selling what we do to the majority population. And if it's bad for the majority population, how is it for those underrepresented students? It's a disservice to our professions. It's a disservice to the country. We all want to recruit the best and the brightest. And I would say, well, we should look for the best and the brightest everywhere. We should look in Harlem. There are very good students there. They just need to be discovered. We should look where I grew up. We should go to Tolleson here in Arizona. It's essentially, for years, it's a migrant field worker community. There are smart kids over there. And in the end, folks, what are we really interested in? Are we interested in individuals that can regurgitate formulas? Get a perfect score on the SATs? or GREs, get a perfect score on the GREs. Hell, I've seen so many students that have gotten perfect scores on the GRE English, for example, and they come here and they don't speak a word of English. All right? What do we care about? What we care about is not being able to regurgitate the formulas, right? We care about fundamental understanding, willingness to learn, how do they overcome obstacles, initiative, etc. And we've all seen, I think, 4.0 students that you put them on a research problem and they just fall apart. Because there's a big difference, of course, between taking exams and solving textbook problems for which there's one unique answer, and those textbooks have just got to evolve, okay? Versus research, which is defining problems, right? How do you define the problem? And so we're looking for students that can do that. And so I would say our very one-dimensional way of evaluating students is something that we really need to reconsider. Now, in essence, what does this mean then? Well, it means a more thorough evaluation. And that means more work for us. But don't we want to do that? What do the medical schools do? When my friends were applying to medical school, what were they looking for? Interviews. Pretty much you get a medical school, they interview you. What do we do? Some superficial look at the application. Oh, what was the GPA? What was the GRE score? But there's so much more that needs to be examined. I know it's difficult. I don't have a perfect solution, but just wanted to make those comments.